All right, here we go. Yo, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome to our launch party. Whether you're joining us today on Livestorm or X or LinkedIn or YouTube or anywhere else that we're streaming, we're very thrilled to have you here. We appreciate you taking your time out of your day to be here. For the folks that are on Livestorm and in the chat with us, go ahead and share where you're joining us from, maybe what you're most excited to hear us demo today. We're thrilled to have you guys here. While you're doing that, let me go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Dan. I'm coming to you from New Jersey, part of the product team here at RevenueCat, where our mission is to help developers make more money. If somehow you have joined this stream today and you don't know that that's our mission, that is kind of a miracle, but now you do. That's why we're here, is to help developers make more money. And a big part of the way that we do that is by building things that we hope is going to make your lives a little bit easier. And that's what we're here to demo today. Before working at RevenueCat, I spent my time working at an app developer, portfolio, actually. Shout out Teltech if anyone watching is from Teltech. We had the great privilege of having a couple of really successful apps. And so I got to kind of take part in watching that business grow and working on that product team and seeing all of the wonderful parts that go along with running a subscription business and all of the difficult, frustrating parts that go along with that. And our hope is that the stuff that we're building, that we're demoing for you guys, makes the exciting parts a little bit more exciting and the frustrating parts a little bit less frustrating. So that's what we're hoping to showcase today. Selfishly, we are here for your feedback. We hope that you're excited about what we're demoing, but what we want to get out of this is your feedback, your questions. If you're joining us on Livestorm today, there is a specific questions section that you can use to ask questions. So please, please, please share your questions through there. Makes it easier for me to see them. It gives others who are watching an opportunity to upvote them as well, so we can answer the ones that are most on your guys' mind. So please use that question section and share your feedback as we go. I've got a team of engineers and product people that are standing by here waiting to show you guys some of the stuff that we've been working on. We're going to chat today about our web billing product, RevenueCat Web, and show you the latest on that. We've got some new App Store features that we support that very explicitly help developers make more money. So we're excited to show you those. Got some new charts to show off, a couple of data feature updates, experiment updates. And then, yes, I see it in the chat already. We are also going to be demoing our brand new, fully redesigned paywalls editor at the end of the call today. So if you're into paywall testing of any sort or kind, you're going to want to stick around for that. So again, thanks for being here. We'll get right into the demos. First up, Ed is going to be joining me from our product team, who works on our web billing product. We're excited to show you guys the state of that product and also maybe share a little about why it exists. Hi, Ed. How's it going?
Hi, Dan. Thanks. Yeah, great to be here. This is my first launch party, so I'm excited to come on and show everyone what we've been working on. Yeah. I will throw up my screen here if you just bear with me.
Awesome. That sounds good.
And yeah, I actually wanted to start out with a quick poll. Somebody told me that audience participation is always a good thing. So let's warm up everyone's fingers. And I'm going to be talking today about RevenueCat Web, which is our web billing product. I wanted to know from you folks in the audience whether you're considering implementing some of your app's user flows on web in 2025 and beyond. Examples of this could be pieces of acquisition flows, web to app onboarding, which I know has been a trend over the last year or two, anything related to retention or life cycle, or payments, of course, which is something that we're doing at RevenueCat. So with a bit of magic and Dan's help, Dan, we should have a poll up there. Is that right?
Yeah, so I believe it is published. Maybe someone can confirm in the chat. Can you guys see the poll and respond to it right now?
All right.
Perfect. Good. Jacob Eiding of RevenueCat fame confirms it's there. We'll pop the results up here in a second.
Do we get that in real time, or should I move on? What do you think?
There we go. Yeah, no, it's an interesting mix. I don't know if you can see it. We've got 38% said yes, 27% not sure, 20% I already have, and 16% no.
Cool. Interesting. Thank you. Always good to kind of gauge the room as well and see what people's interest is in the features that we're building. So just a couple of slides. I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing in the web space, and then we're going to jump into a demo, and I'll show you some of the things that we've shipped over the last few months. Let's start at the high level. So RevenueCat Web is a set of features in RevenueCat that are designed to make implementing app functionality on the web super trivial, in the same way that we make in-app purchases really easy on the mobile side. Our goals here are to kind of unlock the flexibility that you get on the web, where maybe you're a little bit more constrained on the mobile platforms, but in a way that should just work as RevenueCat does on mobile. It should be that same experience. And also you should have access to like unified entitlements and experience across all of those platforms. And yeah, we believe we're the best solution for any mobile developer who's getting started with a web-based flow. And this year, or rather last year, we're in 2025 now, we've been working on the first pieces of this, but we have also a lot to build out in 2025 and beyond. So what have we done so far? We've made it super easy to start taking payments on the web. So either using our Purchases.js web SDK or using our hosted web paywall links, you can easily drop those in and deliver a pretty smooth payment flow to start taking payments either for subscriptions or one-time purchases. And then RevenueCat Web is in beta right now. And throughout 2024, we've been adding features to that. So we've added things like support for multiple currencies. For those of you that are selling subscriptions globally, we also support one-time purchases now, so consumables or non-consumables. You can customize the purchase flow, so you can actually change the branding of the checkout experience and match your own company's brand. We also added Apple Pay and Google Pay support late last year, so that actually really works well as a way to bring a more like native feeling payments experience on the web. And then more recently, we added a feature we call redemption links, which is the first piece in like a web to app flow where you can actually do a purchase on the web, but redeem that purchase in a mobile app. And that's the thing that I'll be demoing today. So we have a bunch of developers using RevenueCat Web today and throughout the beta. I want to just kind of talk through quickly an example use case, because actually one thing that's really interesting with web is there's a lot of like campaign driven use cases that people are kind of homing in on, and we see a lot of adoption, especially around things like holiday events, Black Friday. We saw some great examples of people throwing up landing pages with exclusive offers or discounts and using a web-based flow to then redeem those purchases in mobile. So what does that involve? It involves, first of all, a campaign landing page. So this can be any page on the web, essentially. And then through our platform, you can then add, through the call to action on that page, you can either integrate the web SDK, or the kind of low-code alternative to that is just to use a web paywall link, which is a hosted payment flow that RevenueCat provides, which will give you access to a package selection view, which is what you see here. And then the next step of that is our hosted checkout, which today supports Stripe as a payment gateway. So the actual like handling of the credit card is all done through Stripe. And then you'll see a completion page. Again, this is like a very abstracted, simplified view. But the important thing here is we're using redemption links. So this entire purchase so far has been completely anonymous. Like we haven't had to put a login in front of the user. We haven't had to include the like app user ID in any of the kind of integration pieces. And that means when we display this success page here, we show a button to the user to redeem that purchase in the app. The user taps the button on mobile, and if we've done the relevant configuration on the SDK side, there's a few things to kind of configure there. We actually get immediately deep linked into the mobile app, and that purchase is redeemed, and the user gets access to all the entitlements that they should, and overall like a very frictionless experience.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is then just like in the same way that a mobile app can pop a paywall at any point, even before you've logged in a customer and still have the purchase associated to them. That same thing is now supported through web paywall links and redemption links specifically, right?
Yeah, exactly. And with a whole bunch of flexibility that is obviously not possible on the mobile side, because especially in the case of web payment links, like we can share those from anywhere. Like the entry point could be a social media
Right.
post or a landing page, or whatever you can think of. Cool. So I want to jump straight into the demo. Let's see. I have here my RevenueCat test dashboard. We have a payment provider configured, which is this is my like test RevenueCat billing provider. Those of you that are familiar with this, you'll kind of you'll know where I am. Maybe if you're not, then I apologize. Just bear with me. We'll jump to the kind of user-facing experience in a second. You'll see now that we have on the payment provider settings, we have settings for redemption links. What's required here is to configure a custom URL scheme in your app so that when we get to that redemption stage, the app is listening for the custom URL scheme, and then we can process the purchase. Right. If I jump through actually to the offering, this is where I configure the web paywall link. I've got my 50% off offering, which is configured using packages to offer a single product to the customer. You can see here I've added a web paywall link. And here you'll have access to both a sandbox URL and a production URL where you can actually use these to either test or send directly to users. And this is the URL that I would then actually use on that landing page in production. Right now, I've only enabled this on sandbox. And we can actually flip over here to my iOS simulator, because I have here a very sophisticated conversion optimized landing page that I built. And what we're going to do is kind of hook this up. So here's my landing page. It's already been hooked up to link through to that web paywall link. So if I actually click the link here. Okay, so now I've landed on a web paywall link. So the only problem here is, this is great. I haven't had to do any coding to hook this up, but actually the styling of this could be better, right? It's not perfect. It's not completely in line with the brand of my app that you'll see on the landing page. So let's go back into the app settings here. And one of the things that we added last year in RevenueCat billing was the ability to customize the styling of the checkout. So what I'm going to do here is actually have some colors that my trusty designer has sent me. I'm just going to paste these in.
Nice. That's a good hack.
And we're slowly going to turn this checkout into something that looks much closer to the brand of the app that I actually want to have.
While you're doing that too, so just to clarify from that last screen that you showed, that had one package on it, because this offering that you're using has one package. In theory, you could have set that up with 4 different ones if you wanted to, and that's all going to just show up on that same paywall that you were showing.
Yeah, exactly. And like one thing we obviously see is a lot of these, a lot of the use cases that we see developers using do have this kind of single package offering, because they're really focused around like a single, like one-time discount, especially around like Black Friday or holidays. So yeah, I've updated that. Now, if we click through again to the web paywall link, boom, it looks much better. It looks much closer to the brand. And now we can continue through the payment flow. And again, I'm in Sandbox here, so I can just put in dummy details to demo the purchase. If I wasn't in the simulator, I would actually show Apple Pay here. It's a little bit difficult to demo in Sandbox, so I'll just put in some dummy credit card details. Okay, that was a success. Once we've completed the purchase, we get to what we call the success page, which prompts the user to firstly install or update the app. It's important, obviously, that at this point you've already shipped updates to your apps to listen to the custom URL scheme, and so that they're configured to redeem the purchase. And then once we hit the redeem purchase button here, we're linked through to my test app, which in a very long form confirmation dialog confirms that the purchase has been redeemed, and we now have access to the entitlement that we were supposed to have access to. So that's the entire flow end to end, and that's, other than the like small amount of SDK configuration I've done, we've actually enabled a web purchase very, very quickly without in a way that I can just put up a campaign landing page on the web and start taking payments super fast.
Nice. That's awesome. Let me ask a quick question, just because it's applicable to what you just showed. Cyprian was asking, what happens if the customer doesn't have the app installed yet? Let's say they go right to the redeem purchase link instead of installing the app.
Yeah,
You do something
I
to
believe
handle
that will just take them to the App Store page to download the app. So
Nice.
They'll get pointed at that. The other thing is we don't rely on them obviously being on that page. We also have like all of our lifecycle emails deliver redemption links to users, and it behind the scenes is actually like an expiring token system. So if the one you get expires, you have a mechanism to kind of request another one, and we'll send that to the billing email. So it's like a fairly robust system for redeeming those
Nice.
web purchases in app.
Eugene had that exact question as well. So there you go, Eugene. That's the answer to that one, of what happens if they leave the page.
Nice. Okay. Just a quick mention of like where we're at today with RevenueCat Web and where we're going. So 2024 was all about launching the public beta. As I mentioned, we've added along the way like several big features, redemption links being one of those. We added multi-currency and the customization features that I just showed you. 2025 is all about launching out of beta. So early 2025, we're planning to ship a new version out of beta. We also have some exciting updates and UX improvements that we're packaging with that. So look out for that very soon. And then looking ahead in 2025, RevenueCat Web today is very focused on billing. I think billing is kind of the core piece of a lot of web to app in general, but we're excited to also work on things related to other parts of web flows. So that would be things like affiliate referrals, doing attribution. Obviously, if you're throwing up a web landing page, you have the ability to pay for traffic and point it to that page, and do a lot on the attribution side to understand acquisition. We're also excited to power things like influencer marketing in the future that can also be really powerful in these web flows.
Nice. That's awesome.
Usual caveat that all of this can change and is intentionally vague, but yeah, these are things we're thinking about in the future.
Yeah, and maybe especially worth calling out. We got a lot of notes and questions in the chat. This stuff does change based on your feedback. So let me actually, if you don't mind, I'll ask a quick question, because I think this is a feature request. Neil was asking if you could use Branch or another provider with deferred deep link support today. I believe the answer is no, not right now, but in theory that could work in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, we're aware of obviously deferred deep linking, and that's something we will definitely think about in the future. Yeah, it's not concretely planned right now, but yeah, we're looking for feedback on that. So thank you. Yeah, so that's it from me. That's RevenueCat Web and all of the things we've shipped over the last year, and a quick look ahead at what's coming in 2025 and beyond.
Nice. Let me ask you just a couple other quick questions while we've got you here. Jonathan just asked if you could use Paddle instead of Stripe. Someone else had a different version of that question before, so maybe you could just touch on payment providers in general.
Yeah. So we obviously started out with Stripe as a payment gateway. We are looking at adding more providers in the future, especially from the kind of sales tax perspective. Providers like Paddle are useful for app developers who are used to the merchant of record model, which is what the mobile app stores do. So yeah, I can see the benefit in that. It's definitely something we're considering for the future, and I don't think we're planning to be like a single payment gateway product forever. So yeah, we're looking to do that for sure.
Yeah, makes sense. Let me throw one other one your way that I think we support today. Maybe you tell me if this is true. Someone was mentioning that basically their web checkout flow today uses Stripe custom offer codes. Didn't mention exactly for what, but I would assume it's to pull up a discount or different product to purchase or whatever. In theory, today you could also support that through something like offering metadata, right? Where as long as on your site you're telling us which offering should get served, whether that's a hard-coded one or something that's programmatic based on the offer code that you enter, we can return any offering that you've created. And so it could be that 50% off that you were showing before. It could be a totally different offering depending on what you ask for.
Yeah, that's right. So obviously putting this at the offering level means you can do a lot to serve custom offerings at different times or in different places. One thing I'll mention is right now, so you wouldn't be able to like reuse Stripe's offer codes or coupons. We are building out, obviously in line with things like referrals and supporting affiliate flows. We'll build out our own kind of custom coupon offering system there as well.
Nice. That all makes sense. All right, this has been great. For those in the chat, there's still other questions that we haven't gotten to yet. Ed's going to stick around outside of this and answer some of those. We've got other folks from RevenueCat answering them in the chat too. So we'll try to get to as much as we can. But in the interest of time, we'll keep it moving. So thanks a ton, Ed, for joining us. This was great.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
All right. So next up, we're going to talk about a couple of new App Store features that RevenueCat has somewhat recently added support for. The first one, Will is going to be sharing about. Will is one of our engineers, good jack of all trades at RevenueCat is maybe the more accurate answer. Will, how's it going?
Yeah. Hey, Dan, it's going great. I am super excited to be here today to talk about Apple's new win-back offers. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive on in. What are Apple's win-back offers? Well, a win-back offer is essentially a way for you as a developer to extend some kind of discount to a user who has churned off of one of your subscriptions. They were introduced in iOS 18, and they do require StoreKit 2. They can be redeemed in many different places throughout both your app and all over iOS itself. And you as a developer do have some control over when and where your churned users can actually redeem these offers. So actually, let's talk a little bit more about that. Apple has this thing they call eligibility criteria for win-back offers. You can set these up in App Store Connect, and they let you define or really like which segment of your churned users can actually redeem one of these win-back offers. So Apple gives you 3 different eligibility criteria that you can choose from. The first is called minimum paid duration. This lets you define how long a user has to be subscribed to your subscription before they're eligible for a win-back offer. So you can say like, okay, I need all of my users to have been subscribed to my subscription for at least 6 months before they can redeem one of these offers.
Nice.
The second option that you have is called time since last subscribed. And this essentially says, okay, how long does it have to be since a user has churned before they're eligible for one of these win-back offers? So you can say they need to be churned for at least 3 months before they can redeem one of these. Finally, the last option is called wait between offers. This is essentially a cooldown time between when a user last redeemed a win-back offer until they're eligible for a new one. So you can say, all right, if someone redeemed an offer today, they have to wait at least 6 months before they can redeem another win-back offer. When taken together,
interrupt you with a quick question, actually?
Yeah.
So this is really like the key difference between win-back offers and the other offers that Apple supports, right? Like the offer codes and promotional offers, like there's not this level of control in App Store Connect for determining who gets them.
Yeah, absolutely. So like with offer codes, you have some sort of string that you can give to users. For promotional offers, I think it's like pretty much anybody can redeem them at any time, I think. Don't quote me on that. But essentially, like with these, you have to be a churned user and you have to be within like meeting all of these criteria that you as a developer set.
Right. Okay.
And I mean, these are really powerful because they let you as a developer prevent subscribers from redeeming these win-back offers back to back, which would let you be permanently, having free access to one of these subscriptions. There are a lot of different ways that users can redeem win-back offers for your app. All of them are supported by RevenueCat today. The two different main categories are redeeming win-back offers outside of your app and redeeming them inside your app. So let's talk about redeeming them outside your app first. The most common way that you're going to see people doing this is probably going to be through the App Store itself. So if you go into App Store Connect, you can go in and select a certain win-back offer to be shown in the App Store. And then if a user is eligible for one of these offers, then when they load your app's page in the App Store, they'll see the win-back offer right there on your app page.
Nice.
Additionally, the App Store editorial team can choose to feature the win-back offer, like on the featured tab in the App Store. So, there are lots of different places that it can show up there. Users can either complete the entire purchase flow in the App Store, which is the default behavior, or if you need users to do something before they make a purchase, like signing into their account, you can have it so that they start the purchase flow in the App Store, and then the App Store will direct users to open your app, and then your app can show will let the user complete the purchase flow whenever they're done doing whatever it is that you need them to do.
Yep.
The other place that you can redeem win-back offers in iOS is actually in the Settings app itself. This is really exciting because this is the first time that Apple has ever allowed you as a developer to put any kind of special offer in the Settings app right there on the subscription management page. Previously, all you were able to do there was cancel a subscription or change which product you were subscribed to. So we are super excited about that.
Yeah, that's especially too like a hard moment to like know that the customer is going to do that. So like having the ability to show something there like is like super valuable.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. So let's talk about now redeeming win-back offers inside of your app. The easiest way to do this is through something called a StoreKit message. Essentially what this is that whenever your app boots up, StoreKit takes a look at the user's purchase history, and they look and see if the user is eligible for one of these win-back offers. And if they are, StoreKit can automatically show this sheet here over your app to let the user redeem one of these win-back offers. Just like with the App Store, if you need the user to do something like sign in before they redeem a win-back offer, you can do that and defer showing the sheet to a later time. You can also show win-back offers on a paywall. So you can either do that through a custom paywall, and Apple even provides their own StoreKit paywalls that you can use if you're using SwiftUI in your app. So that's another way that you can redeem these offers. There are a few limitations that are worth calling out here. First, there's no way to send any kind of push notification to a subscriber to let them know when they're eligible for a win-back offer. Essentially, what this means is that for one of your users to redeem one of these offers, they need to either find it in the App Store, the Settings app, or in your app itself. As an extension of this, there's also no mechanism for a developer for their backend to be notified when a subscriber is eligible for a win-back offer. So essentially, the only way that you can tell is inside the app itself. Additionally, there is no custom eligibility criteria. We would love to see something where you can specify a custom user ID or something like that in order to make them eligible for a win-back offer. And finally, the testing isn't always completely straightforward, but our docs do help make that a lot easier. So now I can do a quick demo here of redeeming a win-back offer. Let me get this out. So here's an app that I've been working on. It's an app called Meow Napoli Pro. I'm really excited about it. It's a board game where you go around a board and try and acquire real estate. In order to help lure some subscribers back into paying for my subscription, I've decided to create a win-back offer. And so when my app boots up, it checks to see if the user is eligible for any win-back offers. And if they are, then it shows the special paywall just for them saying, hey, thanks for checking us out again. There's a purchase button here at the bottom that shows our win-back offer. So I guess I should say I did before the webinar, I went ahead and signed up for the subscription and canceled it. So I'm fully eligible for the win-back offer and everything.
Nice.
So that's why we're seeing it here. if I click on the purchase button here, we will see a pretty standard purchase sheet pop up. And we'll see here that I have a 1 week free trial win-back offer that I'm eligible for. And if I hit submit, or sorry, subscribe, it'll go through for us. And so now if I open up my RevenueCat dashboard, I can refresh my user, and we will see here that there's a new renewal event that came through. If we take a look at it here, we'll see that the price was for $0 because it was a free trial. Yep. And the offer code here actually contains the ID of the win-back offer that I just redeemed. So you can see all of this information here, and it's also made available to you through our webhooks and our scheduled data exports, so that you can do whatever it is that you need to do with that. So yeah, that's about it for win-backs. We are super excited about it. Dan, I don't know if we got any questions in the chat or not.
Comments on the paywall design. Big fan so far of the paywall design.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for the overview. The charts you can also use to filter or segment by certain offers, right? To see like the mix, for example, of purchases across different offer types. Yeah,
absolutely. So if you go in, many of our charts now actually support, you can go into, I think you can segment by the offer type. It's something like that, but you can actually see how many people are redeeming win-back offers, which is really cool.
Nice, nice. And then I've got maybe the best question from Peter just a second ago. What's the release date of this?
Hopefully by Deep Dish Swift. We'll see. We will see.
Nice, nice. Oh, right. Marcos is telling me we've got questions in the panel over here. Hold on, let me just take a look and see. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a good one in here. Let me do a live answer. If someone canceled a subscription and there's still time before it expires, do win-back offers work for that use case?
No, so you're not actually eligible for the win-back offer until the expiration happens. So for that period between the cancellation and the expiration, you're not eligible yet in that time.
Right. And so promotional offers or offer codes you could theoretically use for that case. But for win-back offers specifically, you've got to be an expired subscription to be eligible.
Correct.
That makes sense. Cool. All right. For the sake of time, we'll keep going. Again, we'll stick around for a couple of minutes in the chat. So if you guys have other questions, please feel free to keep asking them. In the meantime, thanks a ton for demoing that, Will. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you all.
All right, and then next, still on the theme of App Store features that we recently supported that'll help you guys make money. We've got Tina joining us, who's our product manager that worked on something else that we want to showcase for you guys. Hi, Tina.
Hi, Dan. Thank you for the introduction. Let me also just kick this off by sharing my screen, and hopefully it will be the correct one as well. Cool. Yeah, I think everything is up. So yeah, as Dan mentioned, hi, my name is Tina, and I'm a product manager here at RevenueCat. And today I'm super excited to talk about how to handle Apple refund requests and how RevenueCat can help you within that process as well. So first, I'd actually like to walk through just how the Apple refund process looks like and kind of what does that entail as well. So typically, I would say that the first step would be that your customer would be reaching out to your support team to request a refund. Apple is a little bit unique in the situation that they actually do not allow developers or you yourself to issue refunds on behalf of customers. So then naturally, the next step here would be you would then direct them to Apple's support page for them to start their refund request process. And actually, once the customer submits their refund request, Apple will send your servers a consumption request notification via their App Store server notifications. And this notification indicates that the customer has initiated a refund request for the consumable subscription, kind of what they purchased within your app. And the App Store is requesting that you provide consumption data on this customer's purchase. Then from here, you'll have up to 12 hours to optionally send Apple the requested consumption information about the customer's purchase. And the data that Apple is looking for can be seen on the right side. Information such as the lifetime dollars purchased, refunded, what your own refund preference is for this transaction, and so on and so forth. And I guess the last step here would be the customer would wait around 24 to 48 hours for an update on their refund request. So kind of what the whole flow looks like at the moment. I'm not sure how many people are aware about the consumption request notification, but yeah, it definitely indicates for Apple to start requesting information about the refund and kind of what your preferred preference or resolution is here. So yeah, I guess how RevenueCat will then aid kind of in these step-by-step kind of process of this is that we've launched a new feature that will help influence Apple's decision whether or not to grant the customer the refund by providing Apple your customer's consumption information as well as your refund preference. So kind of going back to this overall refund process here, really what that means is that RevenueCat, we will handle steps 3 and as well as steps 4 for you. So kind of overall with kind of these 5 steps, I don't know, maybe it's just a one-step process for them to request a refund. There would be nothing that you'll have to do on your side really. And with this feature enabled, RevenueCat will calculate and provide Apple your customer's consumption of the purchase, like what I mentioned previously of the lifetime dollars purchased, refunded, etc., as well as your own preferred refund resolution. And what you'll need to do on your end is, of course, enable the feature and as well as provide us your preferred refund resolution, enable server notifications with RevenueCat so we ourselves can be notified of the refund requests coming in. And lastly, obtain consent from your customers to share their consumption data with Apple. We've seen this typically done, either through updating like, your terms and conditions or potentially an equivalent like documentation in that case. So now after this, I actually just want to pop on over real quick to the RevenueCat dashboard just to show you how to enable this feature and really just to show how quick and easy it is as well to enable this. So on your Apple App Store settings page, you will see the handling a refund request accordion over here. And this is where you can select what your preferred handling preference is. And for this one, I would say a big tip for it is to definitely select your preferred outcome for all refund requests. So choose the option that would fit best majority for your refund cases. Let's say you ran into a scenario where you've selected the always prefer declining your refunds, but maybe you have a customer that wrote into your support team. Maybe they're just not having a really good experience overall, and you just really want them to be able to get a refund instead. You can actually override this preference before they go to Apple to request a refund by finding their customer page in RevenueCat. You can search for the refund handling preference over on the attribute card on the right side of the dashboard. And then you can always override this to, for example, grant refund. Remember to hit save. Then now when the customer goes over to Apple to request a refund, we'll send to Apple instead that you would actually prefer them to get a refund. And to hopefully kind of help with that kind of customer experience as well, of being able to help encourage this process a little bit more too. And I guess outside of kind of changing the attributes on the dashboard, of course, any attributes that you do can always be done through our SDK or through the API endpoints that we provide. So anywhere that you can change customer attributes, this is kind of where this was stepped in there as well. And lastly, along with this feature, we have also launched a new chart called App Store Refund Request. And this essentially kind of what it sounds like. It helps visualize these refund requests, which breaks down by their resolution status. So whether the refund was granted, declined, maybe it got granted, but then it got reversed, or if it's still waiting for Apple's decision. And kind of overall with this chart, kind of seeing like the refund request, maybe you're curious to kind of hear more, why are these customers kind of refunding? Like, what are the reasons behind this? So from that, we've actually introduced also a new segment called Refund Request Reason. And here it would also break down your refund requests by reasons that customers are providing Apple. For example, the unintended purchase, unsatisfied with the purchase, legal. I'm not really too sure what that means, but this kind of gives you a little breakdown of kind of the reasons why customers are requesting the refund. So hopefully this can also help you pinpoint specific areas for improvement. Maybe unsatisfied with purchase might suggest a need to collect additional feedback, redefine some messaging or description around the app as well. And yeah, that is everything about Apple refunds. Hopefully this can be a very quick one-click enable button to help like decrease your refund rates as well.
Yeah, this is awesome. I was gonna ask you to share what it's been like hearing from all sorts of different customers about how their refund rate dropped as a result of this. But then Eugene already in the chat shared exactly that anecdote that he had a 2.5% refund rate and it dropped to 1.5 as a result of this. So you don't even have to take our word for it. Just read the chat.
Yeah.
We did get one question that I'd love to hear how we're thinking about. It was specifically about the case where someone has a trial, they cancel their trial, but it's less than 24 hours before it ended, which means there's a good chance that they're going to get billed. And then they come back to the app developer and they're frustrated about that. The broad question, do we have plans to have some kind of like targeting features associated with this where you could like set up a criteria and say like, hey, if you're in this bucket, then here's how the refund should get handled versus this other bucket gets the default setting.
Yeah, definitely great feedback as well. We've also heavily considered overall just like some customization as well when it comes to the overall refund preference that we have. So it has been on our minds, but nothing concrete yet that we are working on. But I feel like with any noise that comes with this, definitely tell us like any of your requests and feedback. And I feel like that should kind of light the fire under us a little bit to kind of push this along too. So yeah, definitely something we've been considering, and please do let us know if that would also be something useful for you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let me ask one other question, which I promise I don't actually know the answer to this. For the timestamps of like when you're requesting a refund and when we get a response, do we have plans to surface that through customer details in the future? So you could like treat it as part of the customer's history.
Yeah, in the future, definitely yes. I'm kind of considering what events we can offer for this feature as well. However, at the moment, for any refunds, it's kind of going through the similar customer events that we have today of whether the kind of refund was granted, kind of what is what you will see too.
Nice. Makes sense. Cool. All right, this has been great. There was a couple of other questions, but they got answered in the chat, so we'll leave those for now. Again, Tina will be around for a few more minutes if you guys have other questions. But in the meantime, thanks a ton, Tina. That's probably like the easiest thing to set up that we're going to show today. So like if you haven't done it already, go set that up.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Thank you, Dan. Bye, everyone.
Right, thanks. All right. From there, we're going to transition. We've got a couple of new SDK projects that we want to share with you guys. Features to implement in your app, but then also just a new SDK that we want to talk about. Yop is joining me for that. Hi, Yop.
Hi, Dan. How you doing?
Very good. Very good. So you've had an interesting journey in that you started working on this SDK before you were at RevenueCat and finished it while you were at RevenueCat.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it went. I saw a gap in RevenueCat's already quite big SDK portfolio, and I figured we need to call the multi-platform in there because that's picking up steam and it's a cool technology.
We're in. All right. So tell us about it. For the folks like me who knew nothing about Kotlin multi-platform until you told me about it, what is it?
So let me do that with a few slides because that's exactly what the first few slides are about. All right. So KNP SDK. As you asked, what is Kotlin multi-platform? For you and any other uninitiated people in the audience, it is evidently a cross-platform framework developed by JetBrains, which is the company behind the language Kotlin, programming language. And it is basically how Kotlin works as a concept. It's not doing anything special. It's actually the opposite. If you have a single platform Kotlin project, such as an Android app, that you can see that as a subset of Kotlin multi-platform. And conceptually, it's one language and 4 compilers or compiler backends, as you should say. There's Kotlin JVM, which is compiled to Java bytecode, which is the flavor that runs on Android, but can also run on your computer in a Java virtual machine. There's Kotlin native, that is compiled to native binaries, and this is the flavor that runs on iOS, for instance, but can also run on Mac OS or Linux or Windows. There's JS, which is transpiled to JavaScript, which is pretty cool. There are some cool frameworks out there to make websites in Kotlin. That's a fun technology. And then the latest one is WebAssembly, which is the up-and-coming new tech. And then there are a few things that make Kotlin multi-platform different from other cross-platform frameworks like Flutter, React Native. And that is that KMP is truly native on each platform. And by that, I mean that there's no separation between the Kotlin code and the code that's written in the platform's primary language. It lives in the exact same memory space. So there's no VM, no alternative runtime. And that means that you can call platform APIs directly. So you can directly, for instance, on iOS, it always feels rather magical to me, but you can call, I don't know, an URL session, for instance, from your Kotlin code, which is pretty cool. Yeah, that means there's no bridging layer needed to move objects to and from the shared memory space. So you can, that whole concept doesn't exist. So you can just do whatever you want. For folks familiar with something like JNI, you always have to be careful not to like cross the bridge from Java to native too often because it has a performance impact. No, that's not a concern with KMP. And another thing is that because of this architecture, it's more flexible than most frameworks. You don't have to share all your code. It doesn't need to be end to end. You can decide what you want to share. You can say, okay, I only want to share like my business logic, or maybe more apt for this audience, your subscription logic. And in the image on the right, you can see just an example of how you could strategize your shared code. You could have like your common multi-platform like code base, which you can even share with your server and your clients that could contain your data models or something, like maybe your user object and whatever else your app needs, that both your server and your clients know about. And then you can have another code base that is your client code, which you share between all your clients. And yeah, again, you can pick and choose whatever you want to share. But these days you can share up to the UI level, which is up to and including the UI level, to be clear, which is pretty cool. Previously, you couldn't share UI code, so you could share anything up to UI, but these days you can share UI as well. But you don't have to, which is the cool thing. And also that means that it supports all existing platform libraries and third-party libraries that exist on those platforms, with one caveat for Apple platforms, and that is that as of now, it needs to have Objective-C headers. They're working hard on Swift interop, but for now, the interop goes through like Objective-C. So then you might ask, what does that RevenueCat SDK for Kotlin multi-platform support? Well, only everything. It supports everything that all our other SDKs also support. And that means that configuring, for instance, looks like this. It's very familiar, or should be very familiar if you're familiar with the Android SDK, because that's also Kotlin, or you could use it from Java as well, I guess. But if you use the Android SDK from Kotlin, it looks very similar. But it should look similar to all the other SDKs. The APIs are very, very similar. Getting customer info is done like this. This is a spending function, which is basically Kotlin's async function for Swift programmers out there. We also have a non-suspending variant of this that takes callbacks, which we do in the Android SDK as well. But there's a good chance you're using suspending functions and coroutines, so then you can use this. Same for getting offerings, also the suspending variant of it. And last but not least, the Kotlin multi-platform SDK also supports paywalls, which looks like this. You create your paywall options, and then you pass that to the paywall composable, and that is supported through Compose multi-platform. So if you have a Compose multi-platform app, you can launch paywalls just like this. So that's what it supports. But on top of that, it supports more than everything. It supports a little bit more than all the other SDKs. As you can see on the bottom right, we have our SDK modules. We have the core module that you'll need anyways. That contains the core RevenueCat logic for you to interact with RevenueCat. And then there's the separate UI module that you'll need for paywalls. On top of that, we have a few like convenience / add-on modules. First one is the date time module. And this allows you to get timestamps, any timestamp. Like we have a few timestamps in the SDK for like expiration date of subscriptions, those kinds of things. this module allows you to return or read those as Kotlin X datetime instance. Kotlin X datetime is the first-party Kotlin date library, and this makes it a lot easier to work with that data, a lot better than timestamps from like January 1st, 1970. So this is very convenient. Then we have the result module, which allows you, which makes it so that our suspending functions return the result class. That's a built-in class in Kotlin, which can be useful if you're already using that, if your code is set up that way, to handle operations that might fail. And another module in that same category is the either module that supports Arrow's either class. This is then returned from suspending function. That is, Arrow is, if you're familiar with Arrow, it's a functional programming library. And if you're already using that, then this is very useful, because this means that the suspending functions from RevenueCat already return like the classes that you expect, and you wouldn't, otherwise you would need to be mapping this yourself. So this saves you some of that work. That's all I have for the KMP SDK. The repo is in the bottom right. It's just RevenueCat/purchase/KMP. And feel free to open an issue if you have feature requests or bug tickets.
Nice. This has been great. Let me ask maybe one broad question, which is that if you're a developer not using KMP right now, let's maybe assume you're using your React or Flutter, or some other multi-platform language. If you're making a new app, what are some reasons why that app would be a good choice to be on KMP as opposed to one of the other existing libraries?
I would, if you're making like a client app for a web service, it's pretty equal, I would say. But if you need to use a lot of platform APIs, so if you need to talk to the hardware a lot, maybe, I don't know, Bluetooth or camera or those kind of things, it may be easier to use KMP, because it's easier to just add a little bit of platform code in there, basically, than having to either rely on existing plugins that other people did for you, or having to build that yourself in like RevenueCat or React Native, similar letters, not the same thing, or Flutter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That makes a lot of sense. Cool. Well, we appreciate it. I don't have any other questions from the chat for now. If you don't mind sticking around for others that come in, that would be great. But other than that, thanks a ton, and thanks for building it too. The building part is much appreciated.
Happy to. My pleasure.
Awesome. All right. We'll keep going with more SDK projects that we want to talk to you guys about. Let me just actually do a quick reminder here. So we're about to chat about the Customer Center in just a second. After that, I'm going to go through some charts updates that we have and some experiment updates. And then we'll get to our demo of our brand new paywall editor after that. So if any of those topics are of interest to you, please keep sticking around for that. Now Cesar is going to be joining me to talk through Customer Center, and maybe just answer the question of what it is for anyone that hasn't got a chance to see it yet. Hi, how's it going, Cesar?
Hello, Dan. Thank you for the intro. Great to meet you, everyone. Yes, I'm here to talk about the Customer Center. Just a little intro on myself. I'm an SDK engineer at RevenueCat, and I've been working in the past few months on this new feature that we call the Customer Center. We rolled it out as a stable back in December, and I'm gonna show you what it can do. But first, let me introduce you a little bit what it is. So at the moment, what it is new view. Is the Customer Center view. It's part of the RevenueCat UI SDK. And what it does right now is it displays the current status of the subscriptions. It also lets the users perform certain actions on their subscription management, like restoring, ask for refunds, things like that. Based on conversations we had with app developers, most of the interactions they have with their customers are related to subscription cancellations, refunds, and similar requests. And that's why we thought, okay, maybe we can offer something that's already built in and remove that customer support burden from developers. Apart from that, another thing that we got requested is understanding why people want to cancel or ask for refunds or things like that. And that's why we also added what we call the feedback prompts, which are configurable feedback surveys that you can attach to any of these actions and get some feedback on why someone might want to cancel their active subscription, for example. There's also capabilities to add custom links to here in case a developer already has some like they might have a section in their app to handle support requests or feature requests or things like that. They can also be linked here through div links or even external sites. A lot of developers, I mean, pretty much everyone has FAQs already somewhere. They can also be linked in here. And another very cool feature we added to this, and I will show in the demo in a little bit, is that it's possible to attach promotional offers to any of these actions and to the specific options in those feedback surveys I was talking about. So for example, you could say, for users that want to cancel and consider that my app is too expensive, I'm going to show a promotional offer that gives them a month for free if they are eligible for it. There's some things that you could set as eligibility criteria. And yeah, all of this is customizable in dashboard, and I will show you the dashboard in a little bit as well. So let's just jump into demo. The first thing I want to show actually is how this is instantiated, and it's as simple as doing customer center view. In this case, I hooked the customer center view into a person icon in the toolbar. So I'm going to show you how it looks like in this app. Let me get rid of this for now. This app that I built, I hooked the customer center here. So as soon as that's pressed, it's going to show the details of the active subscription. This user has a active annual subscription for $7.99. That the next billing date is going to be on January 16th. And here there are the default options. All of these are configurable. You can remove them. You can change the order. We're going to keep adding more options to this. But for now, these are the options that we have by default, which are the restore, request a refund, change plans, and cancel subscription. And as I said, you can hook feedback surveys to any of these options. So I hooked a feedback survey to the cancellation flow. So as soon as the user presses the cancel subscription, they're going to get these options that I configured. These are actually the default options. The app is too expensive. I don't use the app. I bought it by mistake. But everything here is configurable. You can add whatever you want. It's localizable as well through the dashboard. Every single string in the customer center is localizable. We really try to make that a thing. But yeah, if they press on any of this, they will go to the cancellation flow. But I actually added a promotional offer to the too expensive option because I want to offer them a month for free. Because yeah, they think it's too expensive. I'm gonna give them a month for free, and that's pretty much it for the SDK. I'm gonna show you how this is configured in the dashboard very quickly. I pressed no thanks, and yeah, of course, it took me to the cancellation flow. Nice. And yeah, this is the dashboard. There's a new section here on the monetization tools, customer center, that is gonna give you the chance to configure all these that I just displayed. You can change the order of things. You can add you can remove them. You can add options. You can add custom URL, as I said. This could be RevenueCat, although that doesn't really make sense, but you could link here to your Zendesk or something. And then you can configure how you want to open it as an in-app browser, external. And then the feedback surveys that I showed, there's a feedback survey in the cancellation flow. I could attach one to the change plans. or I could attach a promotional offer to the change plans. And then I could add more options to the feedback survey, option 4, option 5. I could add an offer to the option 4. So yeah, everything's configurable here. Other cool things that we added, yeah, there's support email. Right now, this is a bit limited. It's only a support email. We're thinking of ways of extending this, but there's certain scenarios where the user might get prompted a contact support button. And you can configure the support email, your support email, and that support button will open the email app with that support email that you configure here, and include some details of the device by default in that email that they're going to send you. So it's easier for you to understand what's going on. The offers tab will let you configure the offers. In this case, by default, there's a cancellation retention discount and a refunds retention discount. It's possible to link different promotional offers per product. They're going to be the promotional offer of the active product that they have. That's how promotional offers work with Apple. You can only offer a promotional offer for an active product or an expired product. So we're going to detect which one is the promotional offer that we have to offer. And you can also configure the eligibility requirements for the promotional offers. Here you can say, I only want to offer this promotional offer for someone that was first seen more than 14 days ago, for example. It's possible to configure some of the appearance. Most of these settings are for the promotional offer screen. The other screens, we try to make them as close to the settings, the Apple settings, as possible. Then it's possible to also change the localization for every single string. What else? Oh, yeah, the feedback survey results. I wanted to show that there's a new chart where you can see those feedback survey results that I was talking about, the feedback prompts. So in this case, this tester app that I use, on December 12th, there were 24 responses, 20 of them for too expensive, 4 of them for don't use the app. You can change the path. In this case, this is for the cancellation flow. There could be, if you had a feedback survey in the change plans, you could see the results here. Same for the refund requests. And that's pretty much it. Just wanted to mention that it's, I've seen some comments already in the chat. It's iOS only for now. We're wrapping up Android. We're working hard to get it wrapped up soon. And then the next thing is React Native. So we're thinking by the end of the month, we'll probably have a beta, at least for Android and the hybrids. Yeah, and keep improving iOS. There's if anyone is already using this, there's a feedback survey, a feedback prompt here, a feedback Google Docs. If you have any suggestion, any idea, anything any bug that you find, you can use that link there to send us some feedback, or you know what to reach us, like Twitter or Sendisk. Anyway, so yeah, thank you so much, and I hope this excites someone as it excites me, because this is a whole new set of features that we're gonna add into RevenueCat. So yeah.
The chat is popping right now. I think it's fair to say it's exciting some people. Let me ask you one question that came up a couple of times. Just broadly, the topic of being able to customize the paywall where the promo offer is being delivered. Maybe you could just talk a little bit about how we're thinking about that right now. Like the answer is not today, but how are we thinking about that?
Yeah, that is not today, basically. But yeah, we try to do something simple that works a little bit for all the apps. In this tester app, it didn't show, but it also shows the icon of your app, which is pretty similar to the store kit view that Apple offers for promotional offers. But we try to mimic that. But ideally, hopefully soon, we can hook a paywall there to have a promotional offer display with your custom paywall that you configure with Paywalls V2 whenever that's released. Yeah.
Awesome. One last thing I'll add. This is not a question. This is just a note. In theory, you could totally use this even without like the promotional offers, for example, just to get feedback on these different interactions that customers are taking, right? Like you don't get to know why someone is canceling or refunding necessarily. You don't own those screens on iOS. So just being able to like get in front of that and get a little information about it is awesome. I don't remember who, but someone was asking about that earlier on the call. And I just think like that on its own is magic. Never mind being able to give them an offer to try to convince them not to cancel.
Yeah, that's something that Google has had for a while, and Apple hasn't had that. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Perfect.
Very cool.
I'll stay around for a bit, answer questions in the chat.
Perfect. Thanks a ton, Cesar.
Thank you.
All right. So with that, let me do one more transition. I'm going to chat through some new charts features and things like that you guys should be aware of. And then we'll get to Paywall's V2 demo right after that, I promise. So let me just get my screen sharing set up here. All right. So you guys probably know we've released a lot of new charts this year. You already saw a handful of them just in the demos that we've given today so far. There's others too, like the new paid subscriptions chart that a ton of you have been using just to understand new paid subscriptions that are coming in and the type breakdown that you're seeing. We have the subscription status chart that lets you see your current subscriptions that are set to renew and set to cancel, or other metrics like MRR and ARR, and even lets you do cool things like segment that by expiration month, for example. Like if you just want to see over the next 12 months, what is the ratio of subscriptions that are set to expire or set to renew, and how does that change each month? Like it can be helpful for figuring out what's coming up next in your app. But the charts that I want to focus on for today, if you've not had a chance to check them out yet, are our new Explorer charts. So the first one is our Cohort Explorer. The Cohort Explorer is basically a way for you to take a cohort of customers and understand how they're performing over time over a handful of different measurements and with a lot of customization. So for example, the measurements that you can use are, we support revenue, we support seeing realized LTV. So revenue would be what that cohort is accruing each month as you go. Realized LTV would be the aggregate of that, like what you've actually like accumulated for that cohort over time. But importantly, you can also change the cohort definition that's being used. So in this default state, you're seeing cohorts of new customers in each period, right? So the new customers that joined in January 24 in this case, but you can switch that to a cohort of new paying customers and just see the customers that paid you for the first time in January 24 and how they're maturing over time. You could also then change the granularity of that cohort. Like this is a monthly cohort, but you can narrow that down to weeks or days if you'd like to. You can change the period that you're measuring that growth within to understand, like even on a weekly basis, how that cohort is maturing over time. There's a lot of different flexibility that you can get through this to like really deeply understand how your cohorts are maturing. But then importantly, like whenever you're doing any kind of cohort analysis, like there's always this empty triangle at the bottom that can be kind of frustrating, right? Like there's something is going to happen with these cohorts in the future and we don't know what it is yet. So we've just got a lot of like missing information. So one other thing that we built this year is the Prediction Explorer, which basically takes those same facts, right? Like that same set of customers and how they're maturing over time and attempts to fill in the rest of their customer journey with predictions about how their revenue and LTV is going to grow. So functionally, you'll see like the exact same set of options here, except in these periods past the realized dates, we're going to fill them in with predictions of how we expect that cohort to mature. You can see that with a similar set of metrics: predicted revenue, predicted LTV, of course, predicted LTV for customer, if you're just trying to understand on an individual customer basis how they're maturing. But then importantly, you could also then mix and match this with different filters to understand things like, all right, I made a particular paywall change. How is that paywall change predicted to convert customers over time? Like, is this going to be a net positive LTV gain or a net loss? Maybe it's you're prioritizing your yearly plan instead of your monthly plan, and you want to understand if that has a higher LTV over time. There's a lot of different questions you can answer here just by mixing and matching the different filters and cohort definitions to understand where the best performance is coming from in your app. Importantly, predictions are predictions. They are estimates of future performance. So you do have to be careful when using tools like this. We've got documentation that describes exactly how it works for the model that we've built. So we'd love you guys to check that out and give us a sense of how you want to use it and what are some of the use cases that you have in mind for charts like this. With that, let me show you a couple other quick things related to charts. In case you missed it, there's a couple of new account settings that are worth being aware of as well. So weird to demo account settings, but you guys ask for these all the time. We now support customizing the day of the week that week starts on in charts. So you can have your week start on Sunday, Saturday, or Monday, in case you're not in the US like we are, and Sunday might not be the one that makes sense for you, or even Monday might make sense just with your UA trends and things like that. You can customize your display currency as well, and this actually works almost everywhere through the dashboard. We've got a set list of currencies that we support right now. We've seen some of your requests for others. Please feel free to keep letting us know what display currencies you'd like to see supported in the dashboard, and we'll keep getting to those. And then I also want to show you guys a couple of quick things that have changed in experiments. The first one, last year we had a launch party where we talked about placements. Placements are this feature that we support in RevenueCat where you can basically define individual locations in your app to serve a paywall from. Say, all right, I want one paywall to be served in onboarding, a different one to be served at, when you try to access this feature, and maybe a different one on app open. Those are now fully supported in experiments as well. So you can run A/B tests where basically you're setting an array of offerings or paywalls to serve for each customer. And maybe you're changing all of them, and maybe you're changing just one, and you want to isolate, like, if I just change this feature gate paywall to promote that feature differently, what's the impact of that? That's now all fully supported in experiments, available today. So you can go set up experiments today that use placements in your app. We also, too, I saw someone earlier mentioning, I'm actually on the wrong page here. I saw someone asking about filtering experiments by country. That is also supported today. So you can now go in and filter results by country, either an individual country or add a set to them to understand where your experiment is actually performing best. That's especially important as you're considering rolling out a test. If you want to just target the countries that it's performing best in, you could do that through targeting and just serve that new price or new paywall to those markets where it's performing best. And then last thing I wanted to mention here is that we are also now sending these experiment results summaries emails, where basically every Monday morning, if you have an experiment that's running or that's was running within the last couple of weeks, we'll send you an email letting you know its current performance. It's the same stats that are available in the dashboard, nothing new in that regard, but it can be kind of nice to just get that in your inbox in the morning instead of having to go dig into RevenueCat's dashboard to find out what's going on with your experiments. So each active experiment that you've got, you'll get a unique email for. You could see the results. And of course, if there's anything you want to dive deeper into, you've got a link right there to open up the experiment itself. All right. That's our deep dive on data features and the stuff that's new there. If you guys do have questions about it, I'll try to answer those in the chat as we're going to. I see others have answered a few already. And there was one that came up earlier that I want to get to as well, which was the question of supporting user retention data in the future. Let me see if I can find it and actually show it here. Yeah, this is a great question. Mark was asking if there's any consideration on adding charts for user retention in general. Basically being able to understand how customers are retaining in your app over time and not just subscriptions. The short answer here is like, yes, but not in the near future necessarily. The use case totally makes sense. And our aspiration is definitely to be able to help you understand not just what paying customer behavior is in your app, but also what your non-paying customer behavior is, especially so that you can then do things like serve different offers to those customers, serve different paywalls to them. A lot of the features that we've talked about today are like related to the tricky parts of the subscription lifecycle where you're canceling and expiring or asking for a refund, going from paying customer to not being a paying customer, or maybe never choosing to be one in the first place. And so definitely our aspiration is to give you guys more information about those customers as well, whether that's a user retention chart like what you're describing or something different, to make sure that you've got a clear view of what's going on in that area of your product as well. All right. So with all of that, again, if you got other questions, throw them in the chat. I'll try to get them answered. In the meantime, Josh, I believe, is about to join me because we've got a new paywall builder that the people want to see. So Josh, it's great to see you. Happy Thursday.
Am I here? Great to see you too. Happy Thursday.
It is indeed Thursday.
I think that's the day of the week. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen with the button. Okay, I think I'm sharing here. All right, so I don't have slides. I have slide, and demo is that slide. So we're just going to kind of jump straight into it. Okay, so about a year and a half ago, we released Paywalls. It wasn't called Paywalls V1. It was just called Paywalls. And it was our solution to making of the mobile app that you want to release easier with subscriptions. Before, you had to use our SDK directly and make all the paywalls, and it's not everybody's expertise. Your expertise is making the app itself. So we're like, oh, we can help out with that. So in original paywalls V1, we had 5 templates that were released originally, 6 now, and a lot of excitement, lots of usage. It was easy enough to use, but it always didn't really provide what everybody wanted. Our most popular template was template 5, which is this one here, and it's a lot of people use it, but there was also a lot of requests for it. Adding more paragraphs, different fonts, different kinds of images, different banners. There's just these little customizable things that made a ton of sense. But for the way that we created Paywalls V1, it was not easy enough to do. Everything that we do is fully native, and just the way that it was designed didn't provide this flexibility, this power that we wanted. So we heard everybody's feedback. I also felt the feedback. I've been a RevenueCat customer for 5 years, been here for 3. So I use this in my own app. This was the paywall I was using, and I liked using it, but also I wanted more. So instead of just creating my own native paywall, the over-engineered solution was to make Paywalls V2 for everybody to use. So a little bit of selfishness
Just made
in
sense.
here.
No, that makes
It
sense.
just made sense. Over-engineer everything you do. So we have Paywalls V1 template 5. This is what it looked like over here in the simulator. Exact same thing that's on the preview. And here is Paywalls V2 template 5. It's the exact same thing.
We did it. We made it again.
We did it. We made it again. It's great. But you'll see here we have a whole new editor, whole new style of dashboard. And the engine on the SDK is completely new. Everything about this is new except for the API in the SDK. Exact same. You don't have to do anything else in the SDK besides update. We did all of the work behind the scenes in the SDK, and also a lot of work up front. So I'm going to give you a little introduction now into why this is so special. So we are not going to deploy it to prod today. That would be a bad decision. So the first thing we're going to look at over here is on the left. This is the components panel. You don't really want to call your first layer the magic, but I wanted to hide some stuff. So we're going to drill down. Here, our template 5 in V2 is now made up of individual components that you can piece together. So this first magic is actually a stack. Same kind of stack that you have in Swift UI or in Jetpack Compose. It is a vertical stack. We also offer horizontal stacks, and if you're feeling wild, you can do Z stacks. So in this case, we have a header image stack. We have our main content stack. We have a text component here. I can drill on the features. We have another stack that has an icon and a text. We can go into our packages, which are also a stack and an icon and some text. You can really drill down into each individual component and customize it the exact way you want. The different components that we offer here right now, text, image, icon, which is a baby image, stack, which is the container of different components, your package, which is where you put your product, purchase button, a button that does actions, and then a sticky footer. So this is a template that Dan put together last night that modeled our Paywalls V1 template 5. We'll go over to the right side now. The right side is where you can configure each individual property on each component. So we can go to our text component, which you can see highlights over here, so you know where it is. You can modify text, alignment, font weight, color, background, font size. You can add your introductory offer text. So it's text that's specific to the introductory offer. You can set the size from fit to fill to fixed, add padding margin, and you can do that for every individual component. If you want to go change another component, you can also just go click on the component, so you don't have to go look in the components panel on the left side. You can just click around and play like you would expect to. So I can change text here, community, and it updates live. We can go click on a package. We'll click on a package over here. Packages have a selected state, so you can configure things in the default mode, or you can configure them in the selected state as well, so that you can show these interactions that are kind of naturally supposed to happen. Something that is new, besides everything else that is here, but a new concept for that was on top of V1 is for images. We have now this nice media gallery that you can choose from. So I could choose an existing image that I uploaded. It's a nice, easier to use one, or I could go to this header image here. My image is too big. It's going to confirm it's going to shrink it, which is fine. It's going to wait a second. Here we go. Okay. And now I got a new header image. And then I'm going to save changes because I do want this to go to be saved and show something cool. So I'll just go over into my simulator. I'm going to refresh, but we'll see that my paywall doesn't match what I wanted to yet. Well, in Paywalls V2, we now have this draft state. So you can go in, edit the paywalls as you want. I don't have to worry about things going live because paywalls take time to make it feel like the way that you want. So there's a publish button. When you're feeling good, you just click publish and it'll go live to the SDK. So now I can go back over here, refresh, and there it is. Another cool thing that we have is that was super painful in Paywalls V1, which we all felt it, localizations. So we're going to go into localizations now, and we get this new nice localization. I'm not going to press the deploy button yet. We have this new localizations table that shows you the words that you have and where they are in your paywall. I can go over and click on the Spanish one, and it okay. My internet.
I was going to say we lost you for a second, and then you were back. But then we lost you again, but now we see you.
All right. I'm going to slow down for my internet. I was breaking the internet, apparently. So we can add more locales. I'm going to add Catalan. We're going to add Danish, Dutch. So I'm going to go in here. I can type things. It tells me what I'm missing. But the thing is, I actually am not very worldly. I don't know all the different languages, but I can click on auto translate, and it's going to start doing stuff. So we got Catalan that just got added, Danish that got added, and Dutch. So you are in full control of your localizations with Paywalls V2. Anything that you see is wrong, it's not our fault because you have all the things that are there now. So we're just there to make the paywall creation easy. You're there for the content. So the auto translation does use AI, so take it for what it's worth, but it gets you something there. Eventually you'll be able to export it, send it off to a professional translator, and then bring it back in so it's actually hopefully correct. So that is our new localizations manager there. We have preview settings still, so you can change what kind of the thing you want to see in the previewer. But yeah, so this is our new editor. What you see when you come in for the first time is you're going to see this screen. So on your paywall screen, you're not going to be blasted with something new. This is going to be the same Paywalls V1 list that you saw, but with a new little header in there. You can click the new button in the top right. you're going to be able to select an offering that you want to add your paywall to. The top right button currently goes to paywalls v1 because that's kind of what everything is right now. Eventually, you can then click this new v2 button here when you're feeling like you want to use that. Select your offering, and you'll go to this screen. Our problem with paywalls v1 was creating templates was really tough because they were so native. We had to actually write the Swift UI for each template, write the Jetpack Compose for each template, write the React dashboard part for each template. Now we don't have to. Paywalls v2 actually uses paywalls v2 to create templates for paywalls v2. So our team uses the product itself to create these templates that you use. So we're seeing the pain that's hopefully not there. There's pain right there now because we're still developing it, but we are in there with you the entire time. So instead of just having 5-6 templates like we have now, Dan has created, what are we at? 6, 9, 11 templates. So I can just go into, so we'll just go into this one, and I can go in here and start changing anything I want. It's a really nice starting point. So it's not really a template because you're not really filling out the missing pieces. It's kind of more of an example starter paywall that you can use.
Let me interrupt you with a quick question on this one, because one of the questions we're getting so far is what you can do with the background. So we saw in the last one, the background was solid. Here, the paywall background is a gradient, and you can add an image as well, which was the big question.
You can add an image, add a solid color, add a gradient. Eventually video. That's not done yet, but that is a thing that happens in paywalls that we see. Grace has a feature request where you save your company theme colors. The support is already there for it. Front end is still coming, so you could check that one off. That one is already thought about and like 98% done.
So to that end, we've also got another question here along those same lines. What about adding custom fonts to the paywall?
Custom fonts, it's kind of the same thing. It is about 98% done. The SDK support it. The front end is not there yet. In iOS and Android, you will give it the font name that is in your app binary. And you will just assume that font is in there for you. If it's not in there, it'll fall back to the default system font. But yes, you can customize fonts for each individual text. It's not going to be the same for the paywall. So you can have a title that's serif, and then other body text that is sans serif, and that is fully up to you.
Word. We also got another question. Let me see who was asking it. Nelson was asking, what can you add differently in the footer apart from links? How does the footer work?
So footer, you have full control. Do we have an example that has a footer? We do, but do you remember which one of these has a
drop shadow?
Oh, this one. Here we go.
Yeah, looks like it.
So this one has a footer. If we scroll on the left side, we'll see the footer down here. It's a sticky footer, so it's actually stuck at the bottom of this components panel. And you can literally do anything you want to it. You could throw an image in there. I could throw an image in here and drag it up. Oh, yeah. I don't think I showed that, but you can drag components around, move them inside, collapse them. But yeah, we'll put an image in here. I don't have one in here yet. So we're going to upload this super big image again. Give it a minute. This is probably what killed my internet last time. But yeah,
I'll put my growth marketer hat on for a second here too. Just because you can do it doesn't mean it's going to work.
No,
right? Like it's cool. You can build what you want to, but like, please pay attention to your conversion rates.
So yeah, footer is up for anything you want. Our templates, our examples will have sensible footer things in it, like packages and the button and restore links. But I mean, you could put anything you want there. I think I covered most of it.
I throw this one up from Susan on a different topic, which is just, what about freemium apps where they want to have a close button or something along those lines?
Yes. So freemium, I mean, that's kind of, it is really up to you and how you implement the paywall in the SDK. Our paywall view modifiers by default show it in a modal that is easily like closable. If you want to do something like a hard paywall in the SDK right now, you got to do a little bit more custom logic yourself, which I think we are adding to our docs to actually use our paywall view explicitly to wrap that and have your like hard paywall logic around that. But by default, our view modifiers and helpers and stuff at the moment don't make a hard paywall, so it makes the freemium model a little bit easier.
Which also means too, so with the button component that we support, you can add a button that has an explicit close button if you'd like it to, and there's an option for it to be set to navigate back as opposed to navigating to something like a custom URL.
Where's the button? Do I have a button here? Oh yeah, button is here. Buttons have actions to restore purchases, navigate back, navigate to, where you can navigate to a privacy policy or URL. You can navigate to a URL that is in-app browser, external browser, or also deep link. So you have a lot of full control over a lot of any navigation actions that also are coming from the paywall that you can create here.
Yep. I'll add one other one out loud. Kyle asks, I see Jens already answered it, but just for anyone else who's curious, he was asking if there's badging for discounts and sales on products and things like that. At this very moment, the dashboard doesn't have a component for that. You can add it custom if you'd like through with your own stack and your own variables and things like that. But actually in the very near future, there's going to be a dedicated component for that in the dashboard. So you can very easily add a badge to your package and add whatever information you want to it.
Yeah, the PRs are actually out there for it. I think they're mostly approved. I'm just running on localhost at the moment with something that that I knew was stable because the team is actually like shipping stuff live as this goes on. So I probably could have showed it, but also that it was not in the demo plans for today.
Let's get to another question. We got a bunch coming in, just so you know.
Yeah.
So this is maybe the most important question to answer. My developer has to update the SDK, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah, there is a lot of new SDK work that is done to make this work. So there will be an SDK update for it. It is not a major version of the SDK. The exact version of the SDK that it's going to be released in is unknown at the moment. We don't have an exact release date for it yet. When it's out, everybody will know. But yes, that there will be an SDK up for it to get Paywalls v2 working.
Yeah.
Initially.
Let me add a quick note there too. We'll keep answering questions after this as well. But we do have a sign up form for anyone that's interested in joining the private beta of specifically the dashboard product right now. So just to be able to test out the editor and see how to build paywalls. We'll be posting that in the chat here in Livestorm in a second. I didn't mention this yet, but we're also live tweeting a bunch of this on X as well. I don't know if they're called live tweets anymore, but the link will be there too if you need it. So please feel free to sign up for that wait list and get access to the private beta for the dashboard. And then, yeah, like Josh was saying, of course, trust me, you'll see it when this is available for everyone. Mm-hmm. We got a couple of different questions about promo codes. One was asking about an input text box. The other, let me find it, was about customizing paywalls based on promo codes. Maybe you could share a little bit about how we're thinking about that, and then I can after that too.
There's a lot of upvotes happening for that one right now. There's no support for promo codes and like the code that we have right now for Paywalls v2. Obviously, we're building this for our customers, for all of you. So if that upvotes hits 10, we'll make it happen, I guess.
Oh, you made that too easy. Come on.
I know. If the upvotes, there's no reason. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You're
Hello?
back.
Oh, goodness. Okay. It's been happening like this for about a week now, so I was super nervous. 17, 18. Okay. I mean, we can make it happen. We can do anything. I don't want to say anything.
One note too for the moment. is that because this is still all tied to your offerings, anything that you're doing today to serve a unique offering based on a code that someone enters or a form they fill out or whatever, you could totally still do and point to unique offering that has its own paywall for actually like entering promo codes on the paywall and things like that. That's not yet supported. Very much on our minds. Very much on the minds of at least 21 other people upvoting this right now too. So
Yes.
we'll definitely get there.
We'll take it back to the team.
Yep. Just so you know, there was one other one, or a couple of people actually asking about a paywall marketplace. I'm not sure if that's to buy paywalls. I assume it's not, but certainly to showcase paywalls is something we've thought a lot about and we'd love to do in the future.
Yeah, and one thing that we didn't really talk about that we're planning to do eventually too is kind of make it like easy for people to kind of share their paywalls so that you can reuse what they've created. No hard plans for that yet, but the technology exists. We do it right now with our existing templates that I showed. So like that's something that we could bring the community into as well.
All right. There might be other questions in here that we didn't get to live. I think almost everything got answered in chat. So we'll probably call it there.
Well, I know there are probably two questions that I didn't fully answer yet. They've been kind of skirting around. Is when is this going to be available? Yep. So the link that Dan or Francie, I think, posted is for closed beta. So we do have some people in closed beta that we're testing it out. We're slowly growing it because it is a brand new thing. Didn't want to overwhelm ourselves with too much. But we're at this point now where we're ready to add more people to the closed group. Open beta is probably going to be happening within weeks. ? There's always something new that pops up. That's something that we want to make sure that we support, like promo codes in this case. When we release open beta, we want to release it in a way that has almost support for everything that is that we can build in the future. We don't want to have to make it so that you have to target your specific SDK versions for all these little nuances that we add. So we're trying to make it as flexible as possible that we can build on top of that. So whatever SDK version that you start using, it should work mostly fine and not be super breakable for anything new that gets added. There should be nice fallbacks, nice support for anything new. So you don't have to do all this work to support the new stuff. So our goal with open beta is feeling comfortable with that. And we're so close. I just no exact date yet. And iOS and Android native are being worked on right now. Again, they're very close to being done. When those are both working, hybrids will also get everything for free because there is no new public API changes in the SDK. So once both of those are done and released, hybrids will also get all of those. So no hard dates yet. If you're super interested, click the closed beta type form link thingy that was posted.
Word. Let me do one more too. Code Pharmacy. Thank you for bumping this. I saw it before and I lost it. How about using extra screen on the iPad? How will that work?
Yes. So we did not demo any of this at the moment, but in our schema for paywalls V2, we do allow different overrides for different class screen sizes. So you will be able to tweak your paywall if it's on a compact phone size or if it's on an iPad size. So you can still use the same paywall code that can adapt. The dashboard for that is trailing further behind than what the SDK is because there's a lot of dashboard work. But we will have support for that.
You got to show them the preview too while we're here, at least, right? Like at least for seeing the tablet.
I don't know. I actually don't know what this paywall looks like, but like you can click
there
the tablet.
Go. It got big.
So it's big.
Which one thing that you could do, even almost immediately with the beta launch is just have a unique offering for iPad that has a very specific spec based on the iPad layout that you're looking for, right? Like different margin and padding, more information. Probably
have some H stacks going across so that you're kind of taking up that more vertical space, if you want. So, yeah, that's probably the first option is have a separate paywall for bigger iPad type of screens.
Yep. All right. Let me do this. We are way over. Thanks a ton for everyone for staying on. I do want to just quickly call out as well. There's a couple of other things that you should be aware of. We try to cover as much as we can on these calls, but we can't cover everything. We've got other new integrations that have shipped in the last couple of months, like with Kochava and PostHog, Telemetry Deck. We have an app now. If you haven't checked it out, you should check out the RevenueCat app, available on iOS right now. We just finished a hackathon last week. We started posting about a couple of the changes that shipped, like being able to refund or cancel purchases from the customer profile. Got other stuff that we built last week that's coming soon, like sending test events to integrations, a whole bunch more. Let me just add as a last pitch, if you're not following us on X already, you really, really should. We post like not exactly everything that we ship, but like almost everything that we ship. So if you want to stay up to date with what's new and what's going on, for sure, X is the place to be for that. So thanks a ton, everyone. We really appreciate the time. We'll do another one of these in the future. And until then, please do find us with your feedback and questions. And we hope you check out the stuff that we demoed. All right. Bye-bye.